I didn't know you could fall out of love with your own judgment until the weekend my brain tried to fire me. It was a gentle Saturday in May when it started, the kind of day that isn't special enough for weddings or disasters, and I was cleaning the blender we swear we'll use more when my phone buzzed with a voicemail from a woman who pronounced my name like a riddle. Mira, this is Lila from South Bank Floral. We have your bouquet redo ready for pickup, plus the apology balloons. You can swing by before 5. If Jonah is home when you get back, maybe store the chocolates somewhere cool. Anyway, congrats again, or not congrats, haha. Okay, bye. I played it twice. I didn't order flowers or apology balloons or anything with the word redo. I stared at the blender like it might confess. Jonah, my boyfriend, a carpenter who can make a table out of a plank and a podcast, was at his shop, sanding something the size of a canoe. I texted him exactly what you text when the universe calls you from a floral shop. We need to talk when you have a sec. Nothing's wrong, I think. He called 5 minutes later with sawdust in his voice. What happened? Someone thinks I bought apology balloons. Or that you did. There's a bouquet redo with my name on it. Bouquet redo, like a redo, he said, because sometimes men repeat the last noun while their brain flips through files. That's the noun they went with, I said. Do you know Lila from South Bank Floral? He didn't. I didn't. I decided this was a clerical error, the kind that makes you wave politely at fate and keep rinsing the blender. At noon, a second voicemail arrived from an unknown number with the confidence of spam call and the specificity of a friend. Mira, hey, this is Sky from Proofworks. Your consultation is in the queue. We have 2 clips already, and we're waiting for the receipts to finish rendering. If you want a rideshare proof, we can upgrade to the Plus package for $25. LMK. I sat on the kitchen floor because my knees forgot where the chair was. If you've never heard your life referred to as clips, be grateful. It does something to your skeleton. I called the number back and got a peppy ringtone that sounded like a cartoon lawyer was about to say Your Honor. After 3 rings, a woman answered. Proofworks. Hi, I said, pretending my voice did not belong to a startled pigeon. You left me a voicemail about a consultation. I don't know what you are. We're the receipts people, she said, like she'd rolled a bowling ball right into my fear. Proofworks. Simple, discreet verification. Don't worry, your name is safe with us. I didn't give you my name, I said, so it's safe by accident. She hesitated, then switched to customer service sincere. A client submitted a ticket. If you're the target, we can't share their info. But you're allowed to request removal if you don't consent to outreach. I don't, I said. I extremely don't. Please remove me and also the friends of my future self. And stop calling me? Forever. Totally, she said. I'll close the ticket. Her keyboard clicked like rain on wrong windows. You may still receive the deliverables if the client has already paid. The what? The deliverables, she said again. Screenshots, audio pull, receipts. Sometimes a location plot. Does your website list a human being who can explain to me why a florist thinks I have apology balloons? She laughed helplessly, a sound that made me briefly like her. No, but if a florist is involved, someone's being dramatic. I'll put that on a pillow, I said, and hung up. I told myself none of this was real because I had groceries to buy, and reality often respects a list. I walked to the market. I bought eggs that bragged about their chicken's life story and strawberries that were not on sale. I stood in line behind a man who believed the self-checkout was an IQ test, and he was failing it on purpose. Back home, there was a box on the doormat with a sticker that said South Bank Floral. Thank you for letting US fix it, smiley face. Inside, a bouquet of white tulips, a small box of truffles, and 3 helium balloons that said sorry, 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 in a font that looked sincere and also childish, which is a difficult combination to achieve accidentally. There was a handwritten note tucked into the bouquet sleeve. Redo from Mara. LMK if these are better. For delivery tonight, text back yes. I did not know a Mara outside of the ones that live in stories where someone tests someone else. I put the balloons in the bathroom like hostages and carried the flowers to the sink. Jonah called again. Do I need to run home? He asked. No, I said. Maybe. I don't know. Everything is made of receipts. Did someone die? He asked softly because he has a section in his heart labeled if someone died. Just the part of me that believes Saturday should be boring, I said. At 3:15, my phone buzzed with an email whose subject line was a lawsuit waiting to happen. Deliverable 2. Bar tab. Mara plus Jonah. I opened it and had the very specific experience of seeing my boyfriend's name next to a line on a bill for 2 margaritas and a lime tart, time-stamped 11:26 p.m. at a place called City Kitchen. It looked real until it didn't. The font was slightly too proud, the tax was wrong by 20 cents, the mapped thumbnail had a faint watermark that said preview in the lower left corner like a whisper. At the bottom, cyan text, "This is a sample, high-res provided to client upon payment." Attached, a PDF titled Deliverable 3, Summary, which I opened and then closed because the first sentence began target engaged, flirtatious tone. I went very still. People always imagine that jealousy is a drama queen. Mine is an auditor. It wears glasses it doesn't need and asks for a pen. I sat at the table and made a list of facts that were not arguments. Last night, Jonah and I were home by 10 because we are thrilling. At 11:26, we were making stovetop popcorn like suburban poets. City Kitchen is across town. Our car has no gas and also is a drama llama sometimes. If he had been there, he would smell like their fryer, which smells like hope. He smells like cedar and slightly like sleep. I called him. "I love you," I said like an anchor. "Please tell me if a $25 testing service just created a bar tab with your name on it." He exhaled a laugh that wasn't laughter. "I'm at the shop. I have been at the shop since 8. If anyone is flirting with me, it's a plank of ash." "Okay," I said. "Can you come home? I want to look at this together before it grows teeth." He came. He smelled like cedar and slightly like the outside, which is new car smell for humans. We sat on a couch and scrolled. He read this summary, cheeks getting red in slow motion. "They say I wrote, 'What are you doing after close?' with a winky face," he said. "I do not have a winky face. I have confusion and enthusiasm and sometimes a semicolon, but not a wink." The door buzzer sounded. Jonah answered, and a teenager with a messenger bag handed him a manila envelope like we were a movie where nothing good happens at night. "For Mira," he said, and ran down the stairs without waiting for a tip. Inside the envelope, 2 printed screenshots of a DM conversation between Mara, City Kitchen, and Jonah that began with, "Did you leave your jacket?" and ended with, "I could be convinced to be less taken for 40 minutes. The screenshots were blurry in a way you could only accomplish on purpose. The time at the top of the phone said 11:59 a.m., which was wrong for last night and wrong for reality. The battery icon was on the right when it should have been on the left. My auditor brain put a sticky note on the wrongness. Whoever made these did not own the phone they were impersonating. Jonah put his face in his hands in the universal gesture, "For I am both furious and try not to be." "Why is this happening?" he said into his palms. "Because the marketplace for paranoia exists," I said, "and perhaps because someone paid them." He looked up. "Mira, I know you're not asking if it was you," he said, "but I want to say this anyway. If you wanted to test me, you could walk into the shop and say, 'I am testing you.' You don't hire a lab wet with printer ink." "I didn't," I said. "I wouldn't. I hate pop quizzes." His jaw worked like carpentry. "Then who?" "We did the thing you do when your brain is a trapped raccoon. We went very practical. I looked up Proofworks and found a website that tried to be both discreet and cute, like a trench coat with sparkles. Their packages had names like Peace of Mind Basic, Receipt Polish, and Executive Assurance. The Plus package was indeed $25 more and included bar or rideshare proof, edited for clarity. It was a contact form. I wrote, "Please purge any data attached to my name, Mira, last name, or my partner, Jonah, last name. We did not consent. We have received deliverables that contain fabricated language." I hit send, and then, because my body does what toddlers do when tired, I ate a truffle from the floral box and hated it for being excellent. Jonah texted his sister, because this had the stink of her style. "Eliza loves me with a heat that sometimes burns the furniture. She's a nurse who trusts numbers and Google reviews more than she trusts the phrase, 'It's fine.'" When he asked if she had hired anything, she wrote back immediately, 2 immediately, with no, why, what's up, which is the syntax of a person constructing a defense and a sentence at the same time. We decided to wait and not accuse. Then the doorbell rang again. If your day has 2 envelopes, the second one is always worse. This time it wasn't a courier. It was a florist with forearms like Greek myths and a smile that apologized for the business model. He held out a bouquet of tulips bigger than my torso. "For Mira," he said, and then lowered his voice. "For Mara, I would like to unsubscribe from this storyline," I said. "Is there a fee?" He grinned, relieved by the joke, which was good because I wasn't making one. He didn't know. He was just a messenger. He left us a receipt, an actual receipt, printed on actual paper, with a handwriting redo for Mara on the top. I took a picture of the S in South Bank because the font was wrong in the fake bar tab, and suddenly it felt important that fonts be honest. We ate dinner late, the kind of dinner where you start with chips and end with cereal because the plot got in the way of recipes. Jonah put the balloons on the fire escape and shut the window like we were locking out raccoons. We slept badly. And by slept, I mean I rotated through every position labeled. If I get comfortable, they win. On Sunday morning, the first text arrived from a number that did not ask permission to be in my phone. "I heard what Proofworks sent you. I used a contract for them. They lie. Want me to send you the raw." Attached, a Google Drive link that my body did not want to click, but my auditor did. I did not click it. I wrote back, "Who is this?" No answer. I forwarded the text to the email I'd sent the night before and added, "Please also remove any contractor with my number. If they have my name, delete it twice." At noon, we did what ordinary people do when extraordinary nonsense intrudes. We went to brunch at Jonah's mom's house. She calls it supper, regardless of the hour, and plates fruit like an art class. Eliza was there, hair in a bun that meant she'd been either saving lives or arguing. With Eliza, it could be both. She hugged me, which I returned, and then she held me like she was checking for broken parts. "You okay?" she said. "I will be when the word deliverable stops being about my life," I said. She glanced at Jonah like they shared a radio frequency. "Can we talk after we eat?" she said. "There's something I should tell you both." We ate the fruit. We ate a quiche that is either a frittata with better PR or an omelet that's studied abroad. Jonah's mom told a story about a stranger returning her wallet and the line she used, "The world is ridiculous, but sometimes it's ridiculous in your direction," lodged in my chest. Then Eliza put her fork down and swallowed like she was trying to convince her throat to operate as designed. "I hired a service," she said, and the room tilted in a way that made the salt shaker look untrustworthy. I know. Please don't say anything for a second. I've been watching my patients get wrecked by screenshots that don't tell the whole story. I thought this was cheap and safe, and if Jonah passed, he'd never know. Then it got messy. They were supposed to reach out once and record if he said yes to anything. Not whatever they did. I canceled when they sent me a line that didn't sound like him. "I'm sorry. There are 100 versions of anger. Mine is neat. It wanted a folder and a stapler and a label for the tab." I did not raise my voice. I said, "You bought me balloons." Eliza flinched, then looked confused, which was an improvement on flinching. "Balloons?" "The florist," I said. "From Mara, who is also your contractor." She pressed her lips into a line you could level a picture frame with. "I only paid for the basic package," she said, like she was ordering a defense that fit the budget. "No balloons. No receipts." Jonah stood up and then sat down because sitting is sometimes the bravest thing. "You thought I would cheat?" he asked softly. "I thought the world would cheat," she said. "On you. On Mira. On me. I hate the way it destroys people with evidence that doesn't love them back. I wanted to get ahead of it." "You hired it," he said, and there was no cruelty in his voice, only grief. "You brought the fire to check the sprinklers." Eliza nodded, a small motion that made my heart do a weird, sympathetic nod with it. "I'm sorry," she said. And then she did something I did not expect, and is maybe the reason this story ends differently than it could have. She took out her phone, opened her email, and handed it to us. "Here," she said. "Look, I'm not hiding anything. I canceled it, and I asked for a refund. I told them to delete it all. They sent me deliverables anyway. I didn't open them. I couldn't. I thought if I did, I'd never stop. We scrolled. She had indeed written to a person named Claire at Proofworks. Cancel ticket. Do not contact Target again. Claire had replied. Refund processed. Deleting all associated records. And then, an hour later, the same Claire had sent deliverable 1 to 3, like the universe can't help itself. Eliza had not opened those. She had typed an unsent reply that said, simply, I made a mistake. Okay, I said, which was a small word but not empty. Thank you for showing us. Thank you for saying sorry before I asked you to. Jonah's mom, who has watched her children turn into complicated people, refilled our water glasses like the ceremony it is. Eliza, she said, the way only a mother says a name. You are forgiven. Now, go pick the peonies. Eliza laughed, a stunned little sound. She went outside with the clippers and a look of someone being allowed to undo a thing. I sat with Jonah and the lemonade and the knowledge that we have exactly one life to use up, and I silently offered the world a deal. If you send us less of this, I will stop being this good at handling it. Back home, another email, we've purged your data. A former contractor might still reach out. If so, please forward to legal at the. Attached was a document with our names blurred and a paragraph about editorial clarity, which is corporate for, we decided your words would be better if they were ours. I wrote back, we're done. Please don't use us in your learning. We are not your case study. Then I made spaghetti like a person building a refuge out of starch. We instituted new rules without making them a ceremony. We turned off preview for unknown numbers. We put a paper notebook by the door and wrote on the first page, in thick marker, if you need proof, ask for witness. We promised to show each other anything that arrived with the stink of drama before our private brains could make it worse. That could have been the ending. It wasn't, because nothing gets deleted from the internet. A week later, at 5:03 a.m., my phone lit my face with an email from Receipts for Justice that contained 3 images. The same doctored bar tab, the same DM screenshots with a wrong battery icon, and a new rideshare stub with Jonah's name spelled correctly, but the city spelled wrong. The message said, your girlfriend deserves the truth. The M made my stomach understand physics in a new way. I didn't wake Jonah. I forwarded the email to Claire and added, call the dogs off, or I will learn your CEO's favorite color. She replied at 5:11 a.m., a time when apology becomes a religion. I am so sorry. We terminated 2 contractors last month for boundary issues. One is retaliating. We are pursuing legal action. I know this is not your problem. I am trying to make sure it never becomes anyone else's. At 8, I woke Jonah with coffee and a sentence that was a gift. I believe you, and I'm also angry. Let's use the anger to make pancakes. He laughed into his pillow, one of those small sounds that rebuilds a room. We flipped pancakes that looked like abstract maps. We ate them with strawberries and the kind of silence that isn't empty. Then we chased boring. We bought a lamp we didn't need because it made our corner look like a library that had forgiven us. We went to the park and watched a kid teach his cousin to ride a bike. We waved at Miss Dottie, our downstairs neighbor, who insists on paying rent in person so the landlord has to face her compliments. We got soft serve and watched it melt like a metaphor. My brain stopped trying to fire me for an afternoon. It would be tidy to say the messages stopped after that. They mostly did. One more came a week later with a subject line in all caps that read, you should know, attached to a blurry picture of a guy who could be Jonah or any tall person in a dark hoodie. I replied with a single word, no, and blocked the address. I told Jonah. He kissed my forehead in the exact place you kiss a thought when it's being loud. We did grown-up things. We cleaned under the bed and found a note I'd written to myself during our first month of dating that said, he brings me tea without looking at his phone, which made me cry for 2 minutes because the bar is both high and very specific. We saw Eliza on a Sunday, and she handed us a loaf of bread she'd baked like a confession and said, I turned off the part of me that hires storms. We ate the bread and said, you are good, because apologies deserve applause when they stop being theater and start being real. There's a thing I haven't told you yet because I didn't want it to do the thing in your head it did in mine. 2 nights after the last message, we were brushing our teeth when Jonah spat, rinsed, looked at me in the mirror, and said, I want to marry you. I laughed through a mouthful of mint. Is this my proposal? I asked. It's a proposal to propose, he said. I don't have a ring yet, but I have a question I can't stop asking. Will you be the person I make boring rules with for a very long time? Yes, I said around a mint, because sometimes the right answer is available in every language, even toothpaste. We didn't do a scavenger hunt. We didn't call Proofworks to do a background check on our future. We bought a plant that we named Witness and promised not to kill it. He made me a simple wooden ring out of a scrap of walnut from his shop. Temporary, he said, but it looked like permanence to me. We told his mom and Eliza and Miss Dottie and exactly 2 friends who can keep a secret like it's a pet. We ate grocery store cake on the couch and watched a movie where nothing exploded. A month later, I received a postcard in actual, physical mail with a stamp that hadn't been abbreviated into a logo. The handwriting was careful. Dear Mira and Jonah, it said, we shut down the package that hurt you. We published a notice about how receipts can be wrong and why we're stopping the editing part entirely. I left the company this week. I'm sorry my job put you in a story you didn't want. Thank you for the way you handled it. It helped me see my way out. Claire. I put the card on the fridge under a magnet shaped like an eggplant that looks inappropriate if you tilt your head, and I felt something unclench in my spine. I still get the itch sometimes to catalog my life like an archivist with a crush on evidence. I fight it by doing the opposite. When Jonah texts home in 10, I don't check the map. I set out 2 mugs. When a stranger DMs, hey beautiful, I don't screenshot it. I delete it and tell him what kind of pasta I want later. When Eliza sends a picture of her at work in the kind of shoes nurses wear to survive, I reply with our plant witness and say he's thriving. We practice seeing each other instead of proving each other. It feels like a muscle you forget you have until it's back. None of this is cinematic. That's the point. The romance is that we stayed. The plot twist is that nothing exploded. The best scene is us at the hardware store comparing 3 shades of white and arguing about the moral character of Eggshell. A loyalty test did not pass or fail us. It simply taught us what we already knew. That love with a receipts folder is just a job you forgot you shouldn't have to do, and love with a witness is a home. Last week, the floor is called by mistake again. Mita. This is Lila. So sorry, wrong number, but we made a bouquet that looks exactly like a thunderstorm, if you ever need one. I told her I hoped that bouquet found a home that needed weather. Then I looked at Jonah, who was reading on the couch with his feet tucked under the dog we don't own, but are babysitting, and I thought I don't need a thunderstorm right now. I need this. The coffee maker's final brave gurgle. The soft scrape of a page. The ordinary promise that when my phone lights up for the wrong reasons, there is a person next to me who will say, we'll handle that after pancakes, and mean it.